Right, cool, we're ready. And we are here once again. It's the TGR Nation Grand V Series. Welcome, race fans, to week number 13. Formation already underway, and it is a dirt oval. It's an interesting one, and I'm Alexa Marshall, joined by Tristan Herbst. In the background is our producer, Jim Cunningham. And Tristan, you joined at an oval. Now we go to another oval. It's getting very interesting because Formula V's on dirt. Now that's an interesting combination.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. We can already see the cars trying to warm up their tires and barely able to keep traction here at this dirt oval, which is quite an interesting spectacle to see because it gives us a very good insight as to what's going to happen when that green flag does drop, because there's no cautions for any of the races for today, and so it's going to be extremely important to watch out for Heat 1 and Heat 2, and then moving over to a consolation race and the feature race a little bit further on. Qualifying has also already been finished here, so the drivers are starting off for Heat 1, but my goodness, Alexa, I'm a little bit worried for what's going to happen when the green flags drop.
Well, we're about to find out as they are coming around the final oval curve. Eyes will now go to the gantry lights, if there even is a gantry going to be here, and it is going to be green flag drops. We are racing, and it's going to be a very good start for Zach Ratray White compared to last time. Bob D. Jersey is also going to be there. Sean English drifted it through that first long left-hander. Matthias Murray making moves. Mark Schweening already down. Adam Morgan making his way through past Martin Visser. Already going to have Adam Morgan, who's fallen back down a little bit as well. These cars are going to be drifting around the circuit majority of the times, it seems, because you can only imagine what it's going to be like with the traction on those cars. But it's Zach Ratray White who is leading this. A very good start for him, Tristan.
Yeah, I think the suspension of the Formula Vs are a little bit confused as to what's going on right now. It's not the typical driving style of these cars being chucked into corners with all the weight and speed possible and hoping for the best in a completely sideways drift. I mean, look at Sean English over there, holding that car completely sideways and managing to keep the traction up. He's now under a huge amount of pressure, though, from Bob De Jersey just a little bit further behind him, competing for third. And just remember, only the top 7 of this race, and there's massive contact because it looks like Sean English has been spun around and he's now completely lost out with this. He gets hit again, unfortunately, down to 14th position in one go. Unfortunately, not getting what he needs, and damage is thankfully off, like we did try mention earlier. So thankfully able to get going again, but not what he wanted in Heat 1.
Yeah, that was between the top 3. Looks like Zach Rattraythwaite got away with that a little bit more than he was lucky to. Sully Khan is up there. Gianni Lutsu 13 positions up since the race start. Martin Visser is dropping down the order. And it seems like Matthias Marin is going to be joining him as well as Mark Schweening. So something's happened in the back there. That initial collision was between the top 3. P number 2 seemingly going into P number 1. There's Mark Schweening. There is the other car. I believe that was Adam Morgan. So, that's what's happened there between those drivers. Matthias Marin now getting past Alex Boo Bear Bradley, which I know our producer in the background really likes the name of, knowing from last week. However, it looks like this is going on, and we are going to get a replay here. As Tristan, this is going to become very, very interesting. As you see the car spinning, goes, oh, thankfully damage is off. If that was real life, we would have a red flag. iRacing doing iRacing things with the cars bouncing and booping, but doing a backflip as you come through the corner as well. That was a lot more dramatic than we were on the tarmac oval a few races ago.
Yeah, no, that was a very odd collision to be seeing. I mean, you even saw the iRacing netcode, the entire back suspension of one of those cars actually popped off, and then I think the server realized, oh wait, there's no contact. Let's put that back in place and keep on going. But a little bit further on, this is Solomon Khan now fighting on behind. That looks like Gianni Lutsu in his very recognizable pink Formula V. Someone connected with the wall at the back there. And now Solomon Khan holding off on the inside line. Lutsu coming around the outside. He's trying to chase onto the likes of Zach White. We know them as rivals from all the previous races we've seen here at the TGR Nation Grand V Series. And Solomon Khan taking that outside line as hard as possible. Comes back though, and he's got a car on his inside he didn't realize was there because Bob DeJersey, holding off on second place, gets a little bit of a tap on the inside.
Yeah, tap on the inside there. Sully Khan now getting past Gianni Lutsu. Zach Rattraythwaite leads, followed by Bob D. Jonesy and Sully Khan. Of course, it's 10 minutes of action. We're not even halfway through yet. If you watched earlier on in the season, you know how chaotic and how amazing these oval races can be. Zach Rattraythwaite does defend, but Bob D. Jonesy is all over the back of him. Daniel Taylor getting past Lee Brongers a little bit further back. Michael Visser there. Neil Hanley. Gianni Lutsu falling down the order as Bob D. Jersey is going to take the lead here in Heat number 1. Gianni Lutsu is back to the pit lane. So only 14 drivers out there on the lead lap at the current moment. And this is all to play for. Martin Visser getting past plenty of drivers. Matthias Marin now into the pit lane as well. They're going to be open for the consolation race. Of course, only the top 7 will make it through to the feature from this heat. Only top 7 from Heat 2 and then 2 from consolation. But once again, Zach Rattraythwaite is in the lead in Heat 1, but up and under is going to be Bob D. Jonesy. He's going to go for it. That overspeed, we're seeing so many different lines being played here.
Yeah, and I mean, Bob DeJersey, not even a common name that we've seen at the TGR Nation Series. Actually relatively new over here, and he's already a posing threat here to the podium holder of Zach Rattraythwaite, who has been absolutely dominating through the series over the past couple of weeks. He is obviously also the reigning champion from the previous season of TGR Nation, and he's trying to hold on to that as much, but Bob DeJersey is making it a very difficult challenge himself right here. The number 17 car has lost out to the number 18 as Bob DeJersey once again up on the inside of the oval because Solomon Khan is also getting into the contact. Oh, massive contact because it looks like Bob DeJersey goes over the nose of Zach Rattraythwaite as he tries to hold on to the inside line. Solomon Khan benefits massively from that, and so does Nathan Maroney and Neil Handley, both of them up into first and third respectively.
Yeah, that's how it is, but you've also got to remember, looking at Zach Rattraythwaite, how is it going to fare for him? Because we saw what happened last time he was at an oval. It was not a good race for him. Checkered, going round for Sully Khan, and it is going to be for him that time round, and it is a hit, and it will be for him. It's going to be Neil Handley, Bob D. Jonesy, Nathan Maroney, and the question is, Zach Rattraythwaite, will he get it? Because he's round there, Martin Visser, P number 8, so Zach Rattraythwaite, this time round of the oval, will get into the feature race. because we saw what happened last time we were on a tarmac oval, so it's a little bit of a retribution day for Zach. But looking at it, it's Sully Carr, Neil Hanley, Bob DiGersey, Nathan Maroney, Rob Wright, Daniel Taylor, and Zach Rattray White, top 7, so they get into the feature. The rest of the drivers will have a spot in the consolation race.
Yeah, I think almost sort of a trauma spot there for Zach as he gets pushed down to 7th. He didn't want the same repeat that he saw at the last tarmac oval, getting forced out from Heat 1. But like Alexa was going through, our Heat standings over there, as you can see, Salomon Khan takes it. But now starting off on our second Heat over here, Martin Visser will take first position with Michael Thiessen in 2nd, Scott Brooks in 3rd with Mark Schweening in 4th, Adam Morgan with 5th, and Sean English in 6th, Alex Bradley in 7th, with Leo Brongas in 8th, Johnny Lutzu in 9th. I don't think this is Heat 2. This is the same drivers. I think this might be the lineup from Heat 1 potentially that we just saw racing. It's a couple of names that we do recognize. But my goodness, what a race that we actually just saw there. Lots of action. And like I mentioned, almost traumatic for the likes of Zach Rattray White.
So it seems like we go consolation. That's very weird. As Tristan, let's go through the grid order for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So Martin Visser takes first in the consolation race over here with Michael Thiessen in 2nd. Scott Brooks will take 3rd with Mark Schweening in 4th. Adam Morgan 5th with Sean English in 6th. Alex Bradley in 7th with Leo Brongas in 8th. Johnny Lutzu rounds off 9th with Josh Cruz in 10th. Matthias Marin 11th. And Rich Matthews rounds off the top 12.
So that is how it is. You can see the cars going round, and this is... Did we miss Heat 1? Because I am very confused at the moment.
Yeah, I'm also
very
confused.
Because well, either way, we're going to find out, because we have got cars out there, and we are getting ready to go racing, guys. I am waiting for my timing tower to update. There we go.
So I wonder what happened to Heat 2, because Heat 1 was just shown to you on screen. Heat 2 was supposed to be played off now with the other half of the grid, unless there wasn't enough participants in this race. And that's exactly what happened, is that there wasn't enough participants. So Heat 2 actually not being driven out. And so only a Heat 1, and then being forwarded over to the consolation race for the remainder of the grid here at this dirt oval. So a little bit of an odd one that we saw from our previous oval. Apologies for the confusion there in the grandstand from everybody watching, but it is all cleared up now. Heat 2 did not happen, and we've jumped straight from Heat 1 to the consolation race here. And it is up to these drivers now. Like Alexa mentioned, only the top 2 will get their spot in the feature race.
Well, we're about to find out, because it is consolation, and the question is, I'm now wondering, of course, usually only the top 2 would get through the consolation. But because we didn't have a Heat 2 and there's 14 drivers for the feature, are we going to get 7 who will go through? We're going to find out very shortly as the green flag drops. We are racing once again, Tristan, and this is going to be a real quick race as they are getting underway already. Going to be heading into the first corner. Mark Schweening falling further back. Josh Cruz as well making their way through now. Martin Visser is going to lead it. You see so many cars in the background. Mark Schweening falling down again. Alex Bradley. Leo Brongas making his way past. But Martin Visser leads, followed by Michael Thiessen and Bob, and of course Scott Brongas. It seems like the timing tower is playing up for me a little bit, but otherwise we're playing pretty. We're pretty fine and dandy here as we go on to lap number 2, as these guys are having an absolute fight further back.
Yeah, Rich Matthews already out after the first lap. Wonder what's happened to him over there. Bradley's got the meatball flag, but obviously we mentioned there is no damage, so that should clear. But a little bit further up in front, Visser is holding off in first position with Thiessen in 2nd. And like we were speaking, it might potentially be the top 7 that go to the final feature race over here. So it all comes down to this, because the likes of Josh Cruz, Mark Schweening, and Alex Bradley really need to lock in now and trying to make as many positions as possible. Visser holds off, but Lutzu is coming on with a strong attack. Already past Thiessen now and up into 3rd position, chasing on to the behinds of the likes of English, just a little bit further behind, really trying to make up for it. And we saw English obviously falling back in Heat 1's race, now wanting a bit of redemption with the likes of Lutzu, also not having a great Heat 1 race. So we'll have to see what they can do though. 3 laps down, there's only 12 laps to see here. We'll have to see what happens in this consolation race.
Indeed we will, as already going to be going for it right there on the inside, going to be done and dusted. Gianni Lutzu is going to fly past as well. Sean English is leading this. Of course, we saw Gianni Lutzu in that first race. He was absolutely flying until he had an incident, it seemed, and he went back to the pit lane, so he's going to be wanting to get as much, improvement here as possible. He is making his way around. We're going to lap number 4 here with a 20-degree track, even though it's dirt, so it wouldn't really be 20 degrees, but it's 18-degree ambient into the left-hander now. Once again of turn number 1, making their way through, flying their way through, past all these fans, as you see on the inside of the fence. Going to be now going to the inside line, into the corner. Gianni Lutzu is going to be there, and he will take it into the lead of the consolation. He is absolutely flying around this circuit, but you can see now on the camera, this is what happens when you're at a dirt circuit. All the dirt getting on the visor. Looks for the inside now, does Sean English, and he is going to make the move back past. So right now, seems like a little bit of playing cards, because you've got to keep your choices close to your chest.
Yeah, and it seems like it's going to be a continuous switch around for these two drivers over here. They've pulled a second already from Visser, a little bit further behind, and he's fighting with Morgan. But now it's up to who can take first position here, because Lutzu versus English, both of them continuously switching gradient levels over here on this dirt oval. Who takes outside compared to who takes the inside line. We got some action though further on, because Josh Cruz is trying to fight his way up into the top 7. Oh, and there's massive contact. As he makes contact there, it looked like Brongas or Brooks goes off into the right side of the wall over there, and unfortunately it is Brongas who faced head first into that wall, just receiving a bit of a back tire tap there from Josh Cruz, who now holds on for 6th position. Himself and the likes of Brooks have made themselves, Scott Brooks, up into 7th position, the two Canadians, 7th and 8th position, and that is the transfer spot that we believe from 7th up until 1st position. Now Mark Schweening is going to be trying to fight on towards Brooks, but he is 8 seconds behind. English back into the lead though for the leaders race.
And he's right there with him, going to be making his way around this circuit so many times over and over. We go on to lap number 8 of this race now, as it does continue here. At least that's what my timing tower is telling me. You never know when it comes to these ovals, because they are so fantastic to watch. But now, all over the place, you see the dirt kicking up, you see the grandstand on the right hand side. It is the USA International Speedway, and it's absolutely amazing to watch as these drivers are giving it everything. Fastest man on circuit is Sean English, but we got such fast lap times here, less than 30 seconds around this circuit. It is so good to watch. As in the background there, you see you see Josh Cruz on the back of Adam Morgan. In fact, Adam Morgan is on the back of Michael Thiessen. It's all over the place. You can never really tell who is who when it comes down to these drivers, but into the toe now, down the back stretch, possibly a look to the inside line. You're going to be going flat out basically this entire time. Only time you're really going to be slowing down like now is when you're going to be drifting through these corners.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even think there is much slowdown. Obviously the dirt and being sideways definitely does pull a little bit of speed away from those cars, but it's not much reduction from the driver's side. Somebody's off though on the inside line though, trying to hold on as much as they can, and I believe that's Alex Bradley, who's just pulled off there towards the backside. He's now 1 lap down already. Lutzu back up onto the inside line though from English. We've got 1 lap left of racing here, as this is a 12-lap consolation race, and it's all going to come down to who can take the lap. White flag has been waved. English back into 1st position in theoretical track position, but Lutzu has got the inside line here around the oval. We're coming to the final couple of corners here, and who is it going to be? Holding on tightly towards the outside though is English. Visser and Thiessen switch around for 3rd and 4th position. They're still safe though, because it looks like Brooks and Marin are too far apart for the transfer window to be changed at this point. And now Lutzu holding onto that outside line, coming up towards the checkered flag very shortly, and English takes it in 1st position from Lutzu 2nd, and Visser 3rd, and Thiessen 4th. Morgan rounds off the top 5 with Cruz in 6th, and it looks like the likes of Brooks, Scott Brooks, will take 7th in the final position of the transfer window.
It looks like it. We'll wait for confirmation, because of course it was a bit confusing with the way that it's set up, but now we will find out as they make their way around this circuit, just cooling it down, calm it down, get ready for the feature that is going to be coming the way. Of course, as you've already seen, no cautions, no damage. So unlike the last time we were at an oval, where if I remember incorrectly, at least 50% was behind the safety car, Tristan.
Yeah, 100%. 100%, yeah. So we've got 18 cars out on grid. So that does then prove that the 7 position window was correct, right?
And yeah, I think they took everybody, because if it was 7 cars each, there would be 14 drivers. So, I think we're just going to have another amazing race with all these drivers, Tristan.
Yeah, that's a good sign, because 18 drivers on this grid. It's going to be an interesting one. Let's go through the front order here of the grid. Solomon Khan will take first position here with Neil Hanley in second. Bob DeJersey, the competitor, fighting around there with the likes of Zach White in third. Nathan Maroney will take off fourth with Rob Wright in fifth. Daniel Taylor sixth. Zach Rattray White in seventh with Sean English in eighth. John Ilutsu in ninth position. He's going to be fighting from the backside. Martin Visser in 10th with Michael Thiessen in 11th. And Adam Morgan rounds off top 12.
And it is going to be underway, and they will get the call. It is once again around this circuit. You see the marshal there watching as they make their way around. Very slow off the roll in the background. Of course, you go around this circuit so many times, so much known, so much loved, and they are making it around here. Not behind a Porsche this time, though, Tristan. They're behind some kind of truck.
Yeah, it seems like they've got a little bit of a Dodge Ram leading them off here on the dirt. But just to finish it off then is Josh Cruz takes 13th with Scott Brooks in 14th. Matthias Marin will start a little bit further with 15th, and Mark Schweening is really going to want to try and improve there from 16th. Leo Brongers, after having that little bit of an incident there in the consolation race, 17th for him. And Alex Bradley, after having a little bit of a slow one there in the consolation race, will start last year for the feature race tonight. And this is how the order looks behind the Dodge Ram, who can probably drift in the dirt better than the... Oh! There's been something happening on the formation lap there, and that's a bit of an odd one that you don't see every day. We saw Formula V there. That looked like Zach White doing some cartwheels after trying to warm up his tires. What on earth just happened there, Alexa?
I think netcode happened. That's what I think happened. I think netcode happened there coming round. Or they thought they were going to get the green, but no, we got another lap going around here. Apparently it's a Ford. Instead of a Dodge, what we're hearing in our area. So, oh, it's a Chevrolet. Up, and yeah, there's the replay. Just a cartwheel, a little bit of a bounce, and yeah, that's... You don't see that every day. You wouldn't see that in Formula 1, but thankfully these are Formula Vs. But we're about to get underway here. We are approaching the start-finish line. Eyes will go to the flag. Green flag drops. We are racing again. Sully Khan gets an amazing start. Neil Hanley not so much. Zach Rattray White making his way through. Nathan Maroney going to lose out on the start as well. Daniel Taylor down there. Martin Visser going to fall all the way down, and Bob D. Jersey is not out there. He has fallen all the way back, going around this circuit. This is absolutely amazing. Sully Khan ahead, followed by Zach, but Zach is going to be looking for it. Good old drift on the inside, trying to hold on to it. Very wide there for Sully Khan. Gianni Lutsu's going to fly under. Will Sean English, top 4, already fighting for it. We are underway once again, Tristan, and that is an amazing opening lap. They're already fighting wheel to wheel, bumper to bumper on lap number 2.
Yeah, scraping up as much dirt as possible into the corners of here, and this is how it's going to be for the remainder here. And remember, it is, again, once we made, like we mentioned, it is our feature race, and so this is a 40-lap race with no cautions, no damage, and a maximum incident count of 17, and then drive-throughs will be handed out. But 40 laps here of racing is a lot of time for things to happen out on grid over here. Zach Rattray White will be holding off in first. He's already got a back marker up on his inside here into the next left-hander. But now it looks like English, hunting on the backside of that pink Formula V of Gianni Lutsu, is hungry for trying to break into that podium position over there. A little bit further up, though, is what he's trying to do. Solomon Khan has lost out quite a lot, though, from first all the way down to fourth. He's now got Adam Morgan a little bit further on behind him, trying to hold on as well as much as he can. But just on the POV here of English, you can see how he's trying to scoop up that dirt and gain as much traction as possible behind the likes of Lutsu and hold on behind that gearbox. And now there the position gets made, diving up on the inside. He's got the speed carry. Will it be enough, though, as he ascends out of the left-hander? And it looks like he's got the position, holding off on the inside. Schweening also takes from Brooks in 8th to 9th. There's going to be lots of cross transactions here for the next 35 laps.
And Alex Bradley and Leo Brongers having a fight further back. 7 positions up of those drivers. Matthias Marin and Mark Schweening up the most by 8. So lots of gains here. Of course, leaders, top 3 all up by 6 as well. So it is plentiful out there for the positions, and they are now making their way through this left-hander again and again. Of course, we're in America. It's just turning left, and now you head onto the main straight once again. And I don't think our producer like that as we go into the dirt oval once again, but. This is just good racing at its finest, and we're just continuously going around this circuit.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite extraordinary that the drivers can provide so much action. Like you mentioned, it is literally just a left-hand corner, and it's not something like Indianapolis where we've got long straights before we take some of the corners. This is extremely short dirt racing, where we're looking at about a 200-meter straight and then a dip left, and then the same thing repeats 4 times over before a lap is completed. But time is flying here because it's already 7 laps down. We've got 33 laps left to go here. And then our checkered flag gets waved. So it's all going to be down to trying to keep as close as possible to the driver up in front. Bradley, though, is holding off on in 10th position. English is so hungry for this position. You can see how he's holding on as much as possible. He's managed to get past Lutsu. Lutsu can barely see anymore because of all the dirt he's been scooping up. And now look at the slipstream from English, getting past the back marker there and holding off. As you can see, Rattray White taking the inside line, blocking him off, not letting him scoop it up on the inside line and gain the gradient advantage. And now English is going to be wanting to try and gain as much traction as he can here. It's another left-hander for him, but eventually it's going to have to be an outbreak for him as he tries to enter first.
And he's watching that gearbox and everything it does. He is very much pointing his nose right at it, trying to stick in that toe, trying to keep the speed with it. I feel like he's playing a bit of mind games here. Sean English not wanting to actually properly get a move done around here first, because once he's in that lead, he will not have a toe from anybody. So I think for the time he's going to want to stick in it and just keep on going around until maybe towards the end where he has a chance to defend it due to possibly lapped cars around this circuit. Zach Rattray White leads, followed by Sean English, Gianni Lutsu, Sully Khan, Adam Morgan, Josh Cruz, Matthias Marin, Mark Schweening and Scott Brooks. Then Alex Bradley rounds out the top 10 as the leaders now come on to lap number 10 around this circuit, and they are having a fight and an all.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be like this for the next 30 laps because it looks like you said, English is wanting to play a pretty key strategy over here. And look at how the two have actually pulled away. English is sitting in the stream over here of Rattray White, and they together are just able to pull each other far away because Lutsu is sitting surrendered right now. He's obviously got Morgan behind and Khan behind, but it's not enough for him to gain up behind. You can see there, English, now as we're talking about it, actually decides to dive up on the inside. It looked like he had a little bit of a bump draft there with Rattray White, and he decided, I'm carrying enough speed, I'm going to dive up the inside and hope for the best, and he manages to make the position stick. And now the roles are reversed. Rattray White is going to be holding on behind him. Jersey and Brooks have switched around though, 10th and 11th positions as well, and trying to fight further on down the pack. It looks like Thiessen has also made a position on Brongus for the final position of this race, but the action is all packed up. It looks like it's a little bit of wheel to wheel there. Rattray White once again into the lead of this race, diving up at the inside of English, and look who's getting closer and closer because of all the action. Lutsu on board with him. You'll see how close he's starting to creep up because he's dragging himself and Khan slowly closer and closer towards the gearbox of English.
Tries to go for an up and under, but ends up getting blocked there by Zach Rattray White. Lutsu is just going to be watching this battle unfold because the more you battle, the more you're going to get caught up. See a car up there in the barrier. So they are going to be making their way through. Big rear end wobble there, right onto the grass there for Sean English. These guys are going at it like never before. And now into the turn again. Going to hold the inside line, wants to keep that gradient. You can see the racing. You can see what seems to be a racing line. It's a lot lighter than the main circuit. There you go, back on the normal one. But look at that, Gianni Lutsu now there, Sully Khan in the background as well, and even then everybody else is not really far behind. They're only at the end of the other straight, and with how close this circuit is, it's only about 27 second lap time. One mistake from any of these drivers or one crash and they could end up losing a lot. Zach Rattray White's going to be on the inside now. He will get the move done. In the inside line is going to be a Gianni Lutsu as well, going to hold on to it. He's going to be fighting against Sean English now down on the main straight. Going to be boxed in by P1. P3 is Sean English, but he's now going to be wheel to wheel, side by side with with Gianni Lutsu. Gianni Lutsu sticks to the inside line, going to stay right there with him. Now going to have a little bit of overspeed, but Zach Rattray-White seemingly going to be holding on to it. Down into the braking zone, and not really braking zone, more like drift zone, I should say. And he's now going to take the lead. Gianni Lutsu, perfect timing, perfect moment in the lead, but Zach Rattray-White and Sean English down the main straight. Not going to give it up to him yet, as there is Zach back in there. Sean English gets passed back as well. A little bit of contact there on the inside between Zach Rattray-White and Sean English.
Yeah, loads of action here up in the top fighting. Lutsu has obviously joined in on this because of the fighting from Rattray-White and English. And you can see the diverse lines he's trying to take, trying to break the toe. But the driver behind Lutsu is not competing for position. That's one of the back markers. Khan is a little bit further behind in the yellow Formula V. You see him just as he crescents over the gradient at the top there, a little bit further on in the camera. But now it is all up to who can take top 3 over here. But before we continue, yet another massive shout out to the league sponsor of Sambo iRacing, providing all these drivers with some amazing quick setups here at iRacing. I'm sure it must have been difficult for them to develop something here for the dirt, making sure that the actual tires stay on the rims of these cars. But once again, massive shout out and sportsmanship from them for supporting the league here at TGR Nation Grand V. And it's going to be a continuous push here because Lutsu is back up onto the inside line. I mean, on the inside line, you can see him climbing as the two of English and Rattray-White back onto the outside line. Lutsu has got the advantage into the next corner. It's going to be who has the amount of slip. And now you can see English taking the outside line. He's going to lose out over here to both drivers as Rattray-White climbs up onto the inside line. Lutsu holding on as much as he can behind them. They're closing in on Rob Wright a little bit further up in front. And more back markers that will continue to ascend a little bit further in front of them. And now the fight continues on. 1/10 difference between first all the way down to third. It's going to just get more and more hectic with 20 laps to go.
And in the tour, once again, I feel like there's a bit of, big rear end wobble there. There's Sean English running to the back of him. Lutsu catching the car for a moment. Once you lose traction on the dirt, you already don't have enough of it. You're going to be losing even more. Now onto the main straight again. There's a lapped car in front. How's that going to fare? You've also got Sully Khan, who is a lot further down. Adam Morgan is there. So a little bit of lap traffic is starting to get in the way between these drivers. Now making their way through this dirt once again, over and over. We are on lap number 20 of this race as we go around the circuit. There is Sully Khan, and he is trying to make his way through as quickly as he possibly can. But it seems like the lap traffic is definitely starting to hinder him a little bit. He will look for an up and under to try to get past, but not close enough at the current moment in time. Fastest man out there is Sean English. His last lap time, 26.638, a 10th quicker than Zach Rattray-White last time round. Now going into it once again, you've got the top 3 there fighting as much as possible. But the question is, has one of the drivers just got to let the other 2 fight and do the work for them? Because surely, with how much these guys are battling, something's going to happen towards the end, one way or another, because it is all over the place between these 3 right now.
Well, I mean, that's exactly what happened a little bit earlier on towards the lap 10 side. We saw loads of fighting from English and Rattray-White, and that left the door completely open for Gianni Lutsu to join the fight once more for top 3. And as you can see, he is well into this fight and contending for position over here. And like you said, this could potentially happen once again. The more and more they fight, the more that Adam Morgan and Solomon Khan have got a little bit of space to try and gain as these 2 fight and lose a little bit of time around the left bends over here. Because once again, Rattray-White, he loses time every single time he holds onto the outline. You can see they're drifting and losing a lot of traction because here comes Lutsu once again onto the outside line, trying to generate as much speed as possible. And there's almost actually contact between the 2. Lots and lots of gearbox, the bumper scraping over there. English almost losing traction over there. Oh, and he does lose traction because there's contact between him and Rattray-White. Rattray's backwards, and there's massive contact towards the back. Rob Wright makes contact. And that is not what we wanted to see. But finally, Alexa, the seal has been broken, like you were mentioning.
Yeah, and it's going to be Gianni Lutsu who will get away with it. He's driven off. He was out of the way. It was like he knew something was going to happen, and he started on the main straight. A little bit of contact in the gearbox, and that ended up sending him round. But now Mark Schweening is making his way through. Rattray-White, he's dropped down the order. The gaps have very much opened up now. But now the main battle is going to be for P number 6 between Bob D. Jonesy, Matthias Marin, Mark Schweening, and Alex Boo Bear Bradley. But either way, that is not that is not what we wanted to see around there, as there is Zach Rattray-White, and we are going to get a replay here. There was a bit of contact. Both drivers end up losing the rear end down the main straight and just into the corner, and that was very close for Gianni Lutsu, but both of them, one winning the barrier, one got spun around, and unfortunately picking up 2 or 3 other cars in that one. I do believe, yes he did, Sully Khan also got caught up in that incident, so it's not what you want to see, an incident between drivers, but that will be really hard to tell around here. Thankfully, damage is off Tristan.
Yeah, I think if damage was on there, we would have seen a significantly shorter grid if we had down to about 10 cars, because that pileup really did include a couple of cars. We saw Rob Wright even getting contact there as he collided with Rattray-White while he was sideways, and a couple of other backmarkers also got involved in that. So super unfortunate there. Unfortunately, it just started getting a little bit too intense between the likes of English and Rattray-White, gearbox to gearbox, bumper to bumper, and eventually one of them cracked under pressure. Rattray-White just getting a little bit too close for comfort and scooping up the likes of Sean English, and now both of them really losing out. Like you mentioned, Lutsu got a beautiful jump over there. It's almost like he knew what was going to happen. And now it is the fight for Rattray-White trying to climb back up. He jumps up onto the inside of Adam Morgan, who makes a clear path for him up onto the inside line, because there's only 10 laps left of racing here, and it's not going to be much time for these drivers to do much. This is where the main points lie. Lutsu holds off first position, though. English is trying his hardest to gain back on him, but it's not going to be enough if he cannot push a little bit harder. Rattray-White is back up into the podium positions, but Morgan is going to pose as a threat a little bit further behind, though. He has English just on board with him now. You can see he is also in a bit of a no man's land. 2.3 seconds to Lutsu and 3.4 seconds to the likes of Rattray-White, but there is action further down. Neil Hanley has just lost out to Taylor in 12th and 13th position as they fight it on. Matthias Marin and Mark Schweening are also fighting each other extremely hard in 7th and 8th position right now. So good action down around the track as each driver trying to make a reputation for themselves. Neil Hanley, we've seen him since the start of this league. He's had his ups and downs, but now on 13th, trying to make redemption on the likes of Taylor, just a little bit further in front of him.
Yeah, if you think about an underdog, one of them would be Neil Hanley. Sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not, but you don't realise it until he is there. But unfortunately, down in P number 13 at the moment, unlucky for some, but he's on the back of Daniel Taylor. We'll be looking at to get that move done once again as we're going as the leaders go on to lap number 32. So it is getting closer and closer to the finish. They are fighting each other all the way with these cars, and the dirt oval, definitely an interesting choice, but I think we've loved it so far this evening. But as you continue, it's Gianni Lutsu who leads, followed by Sean English, then Rattray-White, then Morgan, Cruz, Jersey, Marin, Schweening, Bradley, Khan, Brooks, Taylor, Hanley, Visser and Thiessen all on the lead lap. A few are lapped, and then they do go around once again. Matthias Marin is right in the middle of it. Bob Jersey just in front. They are fighting each other like there is no tomorrow, and it is an interesting one nonetheless, as there we go. Bob D. Jersey is now going to get the move done on the inside to get past Josh Cruz. Matthias Marin also going to fly through as well. He's on the inside line. Josh Cruz now going to be there as well. Wheel to wheel, side by side down this back straight, and they are going to fight once again as you see over the rear wing. And that is going to be a big spin and into the barrier. I believe that was Matthias Marin, and that is going to be him round and down. So that's unfortunate what happened there. They got a bit too close on the inside, and we know the suspensions of the Formula V's tend to do that. Got bumped, went airborne, went around, and that is unfortunate at the end of the day. Josh Cruz versus Mark Schweening is right here as well. 10 positions up is Mark Schweening, biggest gainer this evening.
Yeah, the Formula V's like to do a little bit of a hopscotch and roll on the suspensions there. As soon as there's too much pressure applied, one of the tires decides to mount on top of the other one. And from there is history, because we see some bouncing, we see some cartwheeling like we saw at the start, and it just leads to more and more complications. Unfortunately, Matthias Marin losing out completely now, down into 8th. He's now 3 seconds off from Cruz, and this is his redemption time now to try and climb up, though. Only 3 laps left. But I must say, Alexa, you know who I really feel bad for is actually the cleaning crew after this race. Imagine having to scrub these cars deep down. Oh, a little bit too much contact as I was talking. Unfortunately, Cruz just not finding the traction on the inside line, gets thrown out to the outside. But yeah, like I was mentioning, I'd hate to be the cleanup crew of these cars. You know how much dirt must be plastered on that suspension and that bodywork after a race here at a dirt oval. But this is what we're going to be seeing, though. 2 laps left of racing here. Lutzu has held on strong for the lead, with English a little bit further behind. Rattray White is also not going to have enough time to catch up unless something happens with English, but I don't think that's going to happen, though. 2 laps left to go. It all comes down to who can hold down now. Bradley is the only person on field within an overtaking opportunity down in 8th and 9th. He could potentially grab onto Marin after his incident. Now 3/10 and climbing on Foster. He could potentially have this. Lutzu is about to receive the white flag as he comes around to the final corner over here. And the white flag is going to be waved for him fairly shortly for the final lap of this race. English, 1.2 seconds behind him, is going to be wanting to hold on. Cruz gets past Schweening, though, which is also an important one. And there's our white flag being waved for Lutzu. Schweening has lost out. What's happened to Schweening? He's out of this race on the final lap. He loses out completely. Oh no, what happened to Schweening there as he falls off completely?
Yeah, unfortunate right in the dying moments. It seems like luck around ovals is not his forte this season. But now, this man will have luck, or maybe it's just pure skill. Gianni Lutzu, out of nowhere, checkered. Gianni Lutzu wins at the USA Speedway, and it is the International Speedway. P number 1 for him. Adam Maroney is going to come across the line. He will be P number 4, Sean English, and Zach Rattray White gaining the final places on the podium. Josh Cruz going to come to the line now. As a little bit further back, you got Alex Bradley, who was right on the back of, I believe, Sully Cone or Daniel Taylor, but now he's fallen down. He's going to lose out to Neil Hanley as well on the final lap. He's going very slow. Is he out of fuel?
I think he might be out of fuel. He's pulled off onto the grass.
Well, right, out of fuel, it seems.
Well, a couple of them have come across the check line. Alex did come across the checkered line, though. So he did make it, but wonder what happened there at the end. He lost a couple of positions. Definitely looks like a fuel outage that we see just at the end there. But looking on to our standings after that feature race, Gianni Lutzu runs away after an incident in first position. Sean English in second with Zach Rattray White, our reigning champion from Season 1 in third position. Adam Morgan in fourth with Bob DeJersey in fifth. Josh Cruz in sixth position with Matthias Marin in seventh. Solomon Khan in eighth with Daniel Taylor ninth. Neil Hanley will round up the top 10 with Alex Bradley in 11th. Michael Thiessen and Rob Wright 12th and 13th respectively. Nathan Maroney, not the greatest race for him today, down in 14th. Mark Schweening unfortunately losing out majorly in the final lap, down to 15th position. Martin Visser and Scott Brooks 16th and 17th. And rounding off our 18-car feature race grid, Leo Brongas. Not the race he wanted, but that is how it turned out. The dirt oval was not very mercy-filled. There were loads and loads of incidents there, but thank goodness we didn't have cautions or any form of contact damage. Otherwise, I don't think we'd be here right now.
Yeah, I think the cautions not being out definitely helped the race. So we'll wait and see how the drivers will think about that. But that is a very good race tonight. Personally, I would say Lutzu had an absolutely amazing race tonight. And you know what? We can get straight into this because we've got some people available to interview, Tristan. So I'll let you take your pick. Who do you want? Gianni Lutzu or Zach Rattray White?
Let's have a look. We've got, so like you mentioned, Gianni Lutzu and Zach Rattray White. Let's have a chat with Gianni over here. Gianni, welcome into the commentary box here at TGR Nation Grand V. Week 13 after the Oval. Talk us through the race. How did it go?
Yeah, no, look, pretty straightforward race, I think, to be honest with you. Unfortunately, to be completely honest, I don't think I had the pace today. I think, honestly, I just got quite lucky with the incidents, to be honest, that I was just in the right place at the right time. I think it was definitely a race for Sean or Zach to win, but I think... kind of got quite lucky with the net code and was able to avoid it. And then Sean was catching me up quite rapidly towards the end of the race there, but kept it clean, kept it consistent, and was just able to come home with the victory.
Absolutely incredible. And how did the heat go? Obviously, we only had one heat this evening. You were obviously a part of Heat 1. How did that go in the first heat?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I hopped into that with not enough fuel, so I knew from the start that I was nearly going to reset, but it would have put me back in the pits anyway. So I tried to try and time the start a little bit, just kind of work a little bit around the iRacing rules and see if I could have done anything to gain a few spots, which I did, but ended up getting a black flag. But in the end, ended up running out of fuel, so just had to reset. But luckily was able to have a good consolation, and a couple of people didn't actually grid into the feature race there, and was able to come away with a good starting position and just worked away to the front, and then like I said before, just got lucky and was able to come home with a win. So no, really good race. Definitely something a bit different with the V's in the dirt, but a new experience for me. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that as the next question. What is going through your head when you chuck a Formula V, something that's supposed to have high amounts of traction, into a dirt corner, and you can see the rear end adjacent to the front end?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot different. I think I do quite a bit of coaching in these cars. So obviously, the main thing I always do talk about is how kind of slow speeded and kind of how gripped up they really are. But I think this is a complete complete different story. So I think luckily I have had a fair chunk of experience in dirt, and I think just a lot of experience with understanding car control, and I think understanding where that limit is of how far the rear can kick out can definitely be the difference of how fast or how slow you kind of tend to go on the dirt in experiences like this. But definitely something new for me, and to be honest with you, I didn't know what to expect, but I actually really enjoyed it. So I think we do have another round at some point in the championship in the dirt, and I think it'll be quite fun. So might need to tune up a little bit because the other boys definitely have a little bit of a hand over me, but I think at the end of the day, a win's a win, so if you take them when you get them, I guess.
Absolutely incredible. And then last one just for you. How are you feeling going into Alton Park Island next week for round 14 racing here in the Formula V?
Yeah, no, it'll be quite good. I think Alton is obviously one I do know relatively well. But in saying that all, I mean I know iRacing obviously just did quite a big 3D update to the entire circuit. So a lot of the curbing, a lot of kind of the hairpins that we have been used to do definitely feel a little bit different from what I have tried in my testing throughout the week in other cars. But I think it will kind of bring a little bit of a new sort of factor to the V as well, because I think we all have been so used to doing Alton for the last few years as the way it has been. So I think it'll be fresh, it'll be new, and I think it'll be quite exciting to everyone. So I think it'll be really good.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Well, once again, an amazing win here tonight around the Dirt Oval. Do you have anything that you'd like to mention or anybody you'd like to shout out before you head out?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, big thank you to you guys, obviously, for holding on all on. Obviously, always nice to kind of come back afterwards and have a little bit of look of what we all did, and obviously have a nice commentary over it. So big thanks to you guys. Obviously, big thank you to Sally and Matthias for obviously setting everything up. And obviously a shout out to my brand that's sponsoring the series, Lutsu Drive Performance. If anybody ever requires any type of coaching in any range or level of car, please feel free to hit me up. So no, great night tonight. Always happy to take a win away, and looking forward to next week.
Absolutely incredible. Well, once again, amazing job tonight. We'll see you next week at Alton Park. Have a good one.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Alrighty, and Alexa, for you, you've got Mr. Zach Rattray White lined up.
Yay! Zach Rattray White, you are live on Apex Racing TV. Welcome in. Maybe a story of two halves tonight for you. Of course, we saw what happened later on in the race, but talk us through it. Of course, a lot better time around the oval tonight than it was earlier on this season.
Yeah, I feel like I've been shafted quite a few times on the ovals this season. I feel like I was rightfully or kicked for the wrong reasons in the paved oval. I think that I was extremely unfair. I feel like I got done pretty hard in the heat race tonight, and then obviously this feature race didn't go my way as well.
Yeah, obviously we saw the incident, we saw it happen, but you were up there for majority of the time leading the race. So talk us through it, because majority of it you were leading. So what's it like out there? Because obviously you don't have the tow from the driver behind when you are leading the car. So obviously some people have tow, but you didn't majority. So what's the car like, and how does it feel different?
Yeah, it's I feel like it's pretty easy to drive around here. I was going flat out this entire thing. I was in fourth gear, just downshifting to third, and then getting a bit of drive off. Honestly, anyone can really be a hero in this car in the draft. You don't have to be the fastest to win a race. I feel like there's been a couple of times where Gianni has been by far the better driver, and he's bested. Well, I've bested him purely just because I could stick with him in the draft. So I think that was another case tonight. Like, especially after the crash when we all kind of strung out a bit, the lap times kind of favoured me majority of the time. So if I were to have snuck away in the early stages and got maybe a little bit of a break, I think it would have been a lot more straightforward than it was.
Yeah, well, thankfully it seems like there's not as many ovals now. Of course, Alton Park Island coming next week. Of course, Lutzu has already said that it's been given a bit of a 3D update thanks to iRacing. So what's the plan going into that? There's obviously very different circuits. So what's the idea? Is there like have you put in a lot of time on the practice with the new updates, or what's the idea going into that?
I'm just gonna copy paste pretty much what Jardy said. I haven't really done any laps there as of yet, and I think everyone's going to be extremely used to the old kind of graphics there. And I mean, the track isn't going to change too much. It's going to be a couple of new curbs and whatnot, but overall, it's going to be very much the same as previous.
Well, fair enough. Of course, penultimate round coming up. How are you feeling going into these final 2 rounds of the season?
I didn't know it was the last 2 rounds. I thought there was a couple more, but well, I'm feeling good. I think I've got a bit of a points lead, so even if nights like tonight happen again, I don't think I'm in too much strife. I can kind of just cruise along and pick up points and get decent finishes, and still, I think, come away with a second chip.
Yeah, Alton Park and Lutskogen is going to be the final 2 rounds coming the way. So only really 2 rounds left. So there is a bit of time to put into it. Before we let you go for tonight, is there anybody you'd like to shout out or give a thanks to, or anything you would just like to state?
Well, thank Gianni first off, because he's my teammate. He backs me up a lot of the time in these races when it's a draft race like tonight. He really does help me out in certain situations where I can block and pass and whatnot. And yeah, you guys as well, because you guys are extremely passionate on the broadcast, and it's very good to watch. So thank you guys.
Thank you very much. We shall let you go, and we shall see you next week, same place, same time, for Alton Park Island.
We shall. See you guys there.
In a bit. And that was Zach Rattray White Tristan. Seems like those are the only 2 interviews we are going to have, so let's get the synopsis here. What did we think about the race tonight?
Yeah, I think very different to what we're going to be seeing for the rest of the season. Obviously, Alton and Rutskogen, both asphalt-driven tracks, normal tracks that the Formula V usually comes alive on. So last time we'll be seeing some of this oval action like we have seen tonight, but really, really interesting stuff to see what a car like this can do on a track layout like this. We've obviously seen the ovals in the past, but it was concrete or asphalt ovals. Now coming onto the dirt, like I mentioned, rest in peace cleaning crew. And the cars really did handle completely different tonight. And it really did provide a lot of action as to who could control their car. Like Gianni mentioned, it came down to how well you knew how car control was as a subject. You know, when the car felt like that limit was being exceeded, and when that back end being stuck out was just becoming a little bit too risky for the driver to take. And it all came down to that skill and that knowledge. And tonight, Gianni Lutzu came out in first position. Incredible stuff from him. And we had loads of action up and down. So my final synopsis, incredible race. Everybody had an incredible drive. We had obviously a couple of incidents up and down, but with the no contact and the no cautions, it really did provide some awesome action.
Yeah, I think personally, I think the no cautions made the race a lot more interesting, and it made it one of the best races we've probably seen all season with these cars. Of course, Alton Park Island and Rutskogen, like you said, asphalt-driven tracks, going to be a lot more different to what we've seen tonight. Very good race all around, especially from the top 3 and the rest of the grid. It was a bit awkward at the start with the heats, but I think at the end of the day, having 18 drivers on the grid made it a whole lot more interesting. But like we've said, we're going to be back same place, same time for Alton Park Island next week. That is it for tonight here in the TGR Nation Grand V Series. I've been Alexa Marshall with Tristan Herbst. Our producer in the background has been Jim Cunningham, and he's been bringing you all the amazing shots that you have seen tonight. We'll see you next week. Have a good evening, morning, or good night.